goodness. Okay, so the deck that I'm going to showcase for you guys today is definitely going to piss your opponent off. And I almost got first place with this deck, but I misplayed so hard, and it cost me the first place title. But yeah, we're here. Roll the intro. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing? Welcome back to another deck profile. I'm your boy Zay, the Digimon expert on the TCG Cast channel, and today we have an awesome deck to profile. It's a little obscure. It's not a normal deck, but it's definitely gonna get you some wins. But before I get into this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and then leave a comment down below. To let me know what you think about this deck. Alright, so let's get into it, shall we? So we're gonna start off with the babies this time. I believe in the last video I didn't start with the babies, and I definitely meant to. So with the babies, it's a little different. Very familiar, but it's different. So we only play 4 of the Upamon from, I believe, set 1.5. Now, for those that don't know, this Upamon says when attacking, if you have 3 or less security, you get to draw a card, which is fantastic if we're kind of in a pinch, kind of like maybe like late game somewhat, or if our opponent decides to just rush us and just be like very aggressive, we can swing with our Digimon, draw a card, and then hopefully get some ammunition for whatever our opponent throws at us. So that's all the babies we play. Now for level 4s, kind of similar to the Lilithmon deck that I showed you guys, we don't play a lot of rookies in this deck. So we play 4 of the Salamon. So this card is very familiar for some of you guys, but if you don't know, this card says on deletion, if you have 3 or less security, you get to recover 1, or you get to heal 1. So if we have this Upamon on top of, or if we have the Upamon below the Salamon, if we attack our opponent's security, and then we're at 3, if we happen to be at 3 security and die, then we get to draw a card and then heal 1, which is essentially, but only if it dies in security. There have been times where it doesn't die in security when it needs to, but like 9 times out of 10 it usually dies. Now the other level 3 rookie that we play in this deck is the Promo Patamon. Now what this card says is on play, if you have 1 or fewer security, you get to recover 1. And with this deck really consists of a lot of recovery, because we kind of hard play a lot of things in our deck. And this card is very clutch in certain cases. And there's also a card in here that we can kind of cheat out if it stays on the field. So that's all the level 3s that we play. Now with level 4s, we only play 1 level 4, and that is Ankylomon. We play 4 of this Ankylomon because of 2 things. So first, let me talk about its skill. So it has a security skill where at the end of the battle, you get to play this card without paying for his memory. So if, let's say your opponent swings into your security with a rookie, and typically rookies are like 2,000 power or maybe like 3,000. So this will be the security. Let's say they swing with this Patamon, check this in security. Now their rookie dies, and then we have another body that we play on the field, which is very awesome, because then we can use this the next turn to either maybe like attack with it, or we can digivolve up to our level 5s. And do some amazing things with it. But that's mainly the reason that we play this card in this deck. And next, we're gonna get to the level fives in this deck. Now, the main level five that you will see in this deck that is a necessity is this Magna Angemon. Now, this Magna Angemon says on play, recover one, just straight up. For 7 memory, you recover one. Now, I know that kind of seems like a little obscure, but trust me, there's been times when I played in some of my turn or in some of my matches, I hard played this, recovered one, and then the card that was used for the recovery was actually very useful for me, um, in which I will get to that later. Also, it has a inheritable effect where on your turn, this Digimon gets plus 1,000 DP for every 3 security cards you have. So let's say we like hard play this at the beginning of the game, and then our security turns into 6, and then we Digivolve on top of this guy to like a level 6. Then automatically that Digimon gets plus 2,000 power, which is very useful. And so that is the main level 5 that you see, or that you would play in this deck. Now the next level 5 and the last level 5 that we play in this deck is Mistymon. Now this card was seen in 1.0, and it's actually really good. So this card says on play, 2 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3,000 power for the turn. Now typically this card is really good if your opponent is trying to rookie rush you. So typically rookies, their power is like 3,000 or less, unless if you're, what's the card? I think it's like Lylemon or Rurumon, that's like 5,000 DP. But traditionally, they rookies are like 3,000 or less. So you hard play this, kill 2 of your opponent's rookies, and then now they kind of are set back and they have to play more cards, and they might play another 2 sets of rookies or something like that. But also we can use this to where we can lower the DP of maybe like 2 big Digimon, and then we can use some other cards in this deck to decrease the DP of that Digimon and essentially just wipe them out, and then we'll gain the advantage. So that's mainly why we play this Digimon in this deck. Now for the level 6s, the main big boy in my opinion in this deck is Seraphimon. We play 3 Seraphimons. Now what Seraphimon does is when digivolving, you get to recover 1, so you get to heal 1, which is fantastic. Then, as a secondary skill, where while you have 3 or more security cards, this Digimon gains security attack plus 1, which is fantastic because there'll be times where, like if you have this in the middle or in the beginning of the game, and you just swing at your opponent's security, you just automatically deal 2 damage, and then your opponent is like, oh, okay, I gotta get rid of this thing. But the cool thing about this is if you pair it up with this Magna Angemon, so let's say we hard play this guy, right? Then we have so at the beginning of the game, we hard play this guy. Now we have 6 security. Then let's say our opponent doesn't attack next turn. So next turn, we digivolve into this guy, we draw 1, and then heal 1. So now we have 7 security. Then we can attack, and because of the inheritable skill of Magna Angemon, this turns into a 12k body, which is pretty beefy if I do say so myself. And that is very much insane. And so this is our main attacker in this deck. Now we do have other ways of recovery in this deck, and this card is also going to be very familiar for you guys. Magna Angemon, or sorry, not Magna Angemon, Magna Germon. So this card is fantastic because it has, for those that don't know, the on-play effect is if you have 3 or fewer security cards, you recover 2. So essentially, you go from 3 security to 5, which kind of basically resets your whole game. Then it has another effect where you can, where when attacking, you can play a level 3 yellow Digimon from your hand for free. So this was kind of what I was mentioning earlier. So if you attack, and let's say you're at maybe 1 security, you can hard play this guy for free, and then hard play you get to recover 1. So now you're at 2. So that really helps you out if you're in a bind. And this really also helped me out when I was playing against green decks, especially a popular green deck called OTK Green, because they just kind of dwindled my security. But then whenever I still had this guy on the field, I was able to swing, play the Patamon, gained a life, and then played this and gained another life. And essentially, their attack really didn't do that much, which is fantastic. So that's why we play the Magnadramon in this deck. Now, the last level 6 that we play in this deck is a card that I've always wanted to put in a deck. I just haven't, at the time, I couldn't find a proper deck to put this in, but this is the perfect card that's in this deck. And it is Kentorismon, ladies and gentlemen. Also, can we take a moment to just look at how beautiful this card is? It's so shiny. It's amazing. Anyway, so what this Kentorismon does, and we play 2 by the way, what this Kentorismon does is when you Digivolve on top of a level 5, you choose up to 5 Digimon on your opponent's side of the field, and they get -2 security attack, which is awesome because that 100% slows down your opponent's tempo. And now essentially they're either going to play like more dudes, or they're going to, they're either going to try to build up their board, or they're just going to potentially pass a turn since they can't really do that much. And then the second great thing about this card is that on deletion, so when this card dies, you choose one of your opponent's Digimon and it gets minus 11,000 power for the turn. So let's say hypothetically we had this guy on the field, and then we had a Mistymon. So let's say, and this is also slight spoilers for the next card in this deck. Let's say our opponent had a Chaosmon Valderarm on the field. So we have this on the field, we swing, then this dies, right? So we minus 11,000 to this guy. So now he's a 3,000 power Digimon. Then we hard play the Mistymon, minus 3,000, and this guy dies. Fantastic. Now, of course, with this Chaosmon Valderarm, our opponent will get more memory if we do that, but it is what it is. But anyway, so the next card that we play is Chaosmon Valderarm. So the main reason we play Chaosmon Valderarm is because whenever you Digivolve it on top of a level, yellow level 6, you get to activate the following effect twice. So you get to pick 1 Digimon, and it gets minus 7,000 DP for the turn. So essentially, you can Digivolve this into on top of your level 6. Let's say maybe, I don't know, maybe the Magnadramon or maybe the Kentorismon. So you Digivolve on top of it. You pick either one of your opponent's Digimon, and you do essentially like 14,000 or minus 14,000 power to it, or you can pick 2 of your opponent's Digimon, give them minus 7 for the turn, and essentially kill them. It is a very fantastic card, and a much needed card for this deck. And also, by the way, this is the only set 4 card that we play in this deck, and also as of, I believe as of today, it is actually kind of one of the most pretty cheap level 7s in the game. So if you do want to build this deck, feel free to get those. Alright, so that's all the Digimon that we play in this deck. Now, let's get to pretty much the meat and potatoes in this deck. So, the next card, the next set of cards that we're going to look at are option cards. So, we play 4 Eden's Javelin. Now, this card was also seen in one of our previous deck profile videos, but just to kind of remind you guys, so this card, for 6 memory, you trigger draw 1, which is always nice. Then, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1,000 power for each card you have in your hand. So, if you happen to have, let's say, like 10 cards in your hand, and there happens to be a Digimon that's 10,000 power, you just straight up kill it. If somehow you had like 6 memory, and you had, let's say we had like 11 cards. So you play this, draw back up to your 11. Now you choose one Digimon that gets minus 11,000 power. Then, if you play the Mistymon that I mentioned earlier, you do minus 3,000. And then essentially you just minus 14,000 power to an opponent's Digimon. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is insane. It is pretty insane. I just want to also point out that Eden's Javelin also has a security effect in which you get to activate the main effect of this card. So if your opponent runs to this in security, then you get to draw a card and then count how many cards you have in your hand, and then you just minus 1,000 power to whatever Digimon on the field and potentially just wipe them out, which is fantastic. So yeah, a little PSA about that. Now the next card that we play is 7 Heavens. Now, what 7 Heavens does is for 7 memory, you get to choose one of your opponent's Digimon to get minus 1,000 power. So this is very fantastic because it pretty much kills every a lot of level 6 and below Digimon on the field. Also, another reason that we play this is because it has a security effect in which you get to do that effect in security. So let's say our opponent attacked us with a 10,000 power Digimon and they check this in security, then we can just be like, okay, that card's dead. And now they can't utilize it for more plays and whatnot, and it is very fantastic. Or if we happen to have, like, if our board state is in a way that we have game next turn, then we can just kill one of their blockers, and then next turn we can just swing for game and just win, which is fantastic. Now, the next yellow card that we play is 2 Holy Waves. Now, what Holy Wave does is for 6 memory, you just get to recover 1, which seems a little kind of like but it has been actually pretty clutch in some cases because it also has a security effect in which you get to do the main effect, which is recover 1. So I have had times where my opponent was like, okay, I'm gonna swing at your security, and then I flipped this up and I was like, oh, okay, recover 1. And then they were like, oh, okay, cool. And it's just like the healing factor of that card, which really is amazing in this deck. Now, there are some times when we play this deck in which we don't have kind of the necessary pieces that we need in our hand, but our security is actually pretty stacked. So, in a way to kind of help us get a better draw power, we play 4 Blade of the True. So, what Blade of the True does is you get to draw 1 card for every 2 security cards you have. So, let's say for in the beginning of our turn, let's say we just hard played the Magna Angemon, right? Now we're at 6 memory. Then next turn, we play one of these, and then we get to draw 3 cards. That's fantastic. So now we have good draw power. We have enough cards in our hand to potentially use our Eden's Javelin pretty early and get and gain advantage over our opponent and just do some other crazy plays. Now, the last yellow card that we play in this deck, of course, it has to be TK Takaishi. It has to be. Because one, it's what I call a memory reset tamer, in which if your opponent tries to leave you at 2 or less memory, you get to reset it to 3, which is fantastic. Even though, like, with this deck, we don't really care that our opponent memory chokes us, but it does feel nice in which, like, we have the TK on the field, and then let's say our opponent also has a TK. So essentially, we don't want to just like play something, or we just don't want to like pass the turn and have them at 3, and we just essentially do nothing. What we can do is we can play Holy Wave, recover 1, and then they'll be at 3, so we don't feel bad for playing this. Or we can play Eden's Javelin to reset them back to 3, and then we can draw a card minus an opponent's Digimon's DP and just gain more advantage, which is fantastic. So that's the last yellow card we play in this deck. Now we do play another color in this deck, which is red. Now we don't play a lot of red cards, but we do play 3 of the Tai Kamiya. Now this card is from the red starter deck, and it's pretty nice. On your turn, all of your Digimon gets 1,000 power, and then the security skill is you get to play it on your field for free, which is nice. So let's say, back to kind of like our scenario, we played this, had a TK out, and now at the start of our turn we have 3 memory. So then we can play Magna Angemon, heal 1. Then, since we're at 7 security, we can swing for 12. Then with this tie, it turns to a 13k, which is a pretty beefy Digimon in my opinion. But if we happen to have all these out on the field, this 12k just turned into a 14k. Or sorry, this 13k just turned into a 15k. That's insane. This has the same power as an Omnimon. And Omnimon is insane. And then also, if we happen to Digivolve this on top of Chaosmon Valder Arm, now if we're at 7 security, right? So we plus 2,000 for the Magna, so now we're at 16. Then with these 3, we get 1,000, so that's 19k. So we're at 19. That's crazy. We're at 19k Digimon on my turn, so we're not going to die to anything unless if it's a card like Gaia Force. Oh yeah, speaking of Gaia Force, we play 4 Gaia Force. So Gaia Force is, in my opinion, one of, if not the best option card in the entirety of Digimon. So for 8 memory, if you hard play it, you get to straight up kill one of your opponent's Digimon, which is nice if they have a large body on the field and you just want to kill it so they won't try to use it to overpower you and whatnot. Also, it has a security effect in which you get to activate the main, kind of similar to other security effects in our deck, and you just get to straight up kill an opponent's Digimon, which is awesome because you can kill, again, like I said, one of their big dudes, or you can kill one of their blockers, in which on your turn you can just straight up just win the game and whatnot, and it is fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it for the deck profile. There are a couple of suggestions that I would like to make, and let's get into that. So for my first suggestion, if you do decide to play this deck, I think you would, in my opinion, what I might also do for potential update for my deck, I might cut out one of the Blade of the Trues and add another seven heavens, so I have three. Just because whenever I was playing it in my tournament, there was cases where Blade of the True kind of felt like a dead card to have. And also it would have been a lot better if I had a seven heavens, so I could just eliminate opponent's cards on the board and whatnot. So that could be a potential thing that you could do for your deck. There are also two other red cards that I would suggest. Sadly, I didn't bring them for this deck profile video, but there's two cards that I would suggest. There's a card called Trident Revolver, which is a six cost red option card that says that you can delete one of your opponent's level or 6,000 power Digimon, and then you get to play a tamer for free. So essentially, let's say if let's say, just for an example, our opponent had this Patamon on the field. So what we can do is play the Trident Revolver, kill this guy, and then we also are able to play this TK for free, which is fantastic, because then the on-play effect goes off, we look at our security, we get to find a yellow card, and then recover one, and then just gain more advantage, which is awesome. The last card that I would suggest that you can put in your deck is a red card called Plasma Strike. It is a four cost option card that basically says delete an opponent's Digimon that's 13,000 power or more. Now, this card essentially kills all the Chaos Mons, Millennium Mon, Omnimon, Ragnar Lordmon, and Nidhoggmon. That is another card that's 13,000 power. Or hypothetically, if your opponent had just a Digimon that had kind of like power boosts, like they had like inheritable effects which gain them power, and they check that in the security, then it just straight up dies to that, which is fantastic. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the deck profile. I really appreciate all you guys for watching, and if you got to this point in the video, like I mentioned earlier, tell me what you thought about the deck. Like I said, I've got second with this deck. I played so many green decks. I played one OTK green. I played a Hercules Kabuterimon deck, and then I also played a Nidhoggmon deck, and the deck was a very good counter to green. And like I said, I messed up and I didn't Gaia Force my opponent's Chaosmon, and I try to do a play in which I try to swing into I try to lower the power of his Chaosmon to 4,000, and I thought my Patamon was 4,000, but he was actually 3, so I ended up misplaying very hard, which kind of cost me the game. And you know, it is what it is. It happens. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, don't forget to like, share this video with your friends, your family, or whoever that is a fan of Digimon. And I will catch you guys in the next deck profile. Peace.